I would say that before looking ahead to the future, is it time to sum up a bit what were the main conclusions of the Mediterranean Project 2 that has just concluded, that they took the relevant part of the activities of Med-TSO for the last 2 years. First of all, what I can say is that, a technical issue, okay, solved. First of all, we as an association of 21 members from 19 Mediterranean countries would like to act as a bridge between Europe and the Middle East and MENA region, playing a regional reference role for creating the conditions that can foster the development of North-South and South-South interconnections. In this perspective, we are promoting the launch of pilot projects to strengthen the integration of Middle East and Northern African power system, and are supporting the EC in its Euro-Mediterranean initiative. Our action plan has a broad scope to improve the integration of the Mediterranean power systems by optimizing the use of the existing interconnections and assessing the possibility of building new lines, has been declined in a series of core activities for the association, dealing with the definition of common technical rules for accessing the grid, operating the system, and sharing of resources, to be as a kind of grounds for a Mediterranean grid code that we intend to develop in the TEASIMED project. The issuing of Mediterranean master plans. The first edition was issued in 2018. The second one is at the conclusion of this project here in these weeks, and setting up also a common web platform for the members on transparency and technical data, with a list of let's say complementary, but actually they are not less important than the core activities, dealing with the definition of knowledge sharing and training programs, the creation of a database, DBMed, for exchanging data from among the members, and therefore facilitating the execution of studies and analysis by their own, and the publication of a Mediterranean grid map in collaboration with ENSOE. We have got EU support. We have never to forget it, for the first two projects since 2015, the Mediterranean Project 1 and 2, and now we have a third grant for the TEASIMED project for the next 28 months. Going back to the outcomes of the Mediterranean Project 2, the action plan of the project was divided into several streams of activities, allowing to deliver 14 reports. All these reports are available on our website, Med-TSO.com, are publicly downloadable, so all the interested people can enter much more into the details of our activities. I have, of course, no time to enter into details. I would like to mention the Mediterranean Master Plan, which is a set of studies conducted on 15 projects that have been assessed for more than 18 gigawatt of new interconnection capacity and over 4,000 kilometers, mostly of HVDC, high voltage direct current, new interconnections divided into different corridors from the Western Mediterranean to the Middle East. I would like to mention the regulation area, where we have delivered several reports by consolidating a common target regulatory framework, an activity that was started in the Mediterranean Project 1, by defining the candidates for possible pilot projects to be launched in the next project, TEASIMED, defining a set of data to be published in our website and on the websites of the TSOs, dealing with transparency and information to make publicly available to the citizens, and also a survey on criteria for the allocation of costs and risks. Another area I would like to mention is the definition of scenarios, the undertaking of adequacy analysis and the definition of market models. We have developed a set of long-term scenarios and market models. We define the general guidelines in this project for assessing a Mediterranean seasonal outlook, giving also guidelines and methodology for defining periodic adequacy reports. We have developed internally the capacity of using common tools and software for power system modeling, the Antares tool that was provided by RTE, for electricity demand analysis and forecast, Trapunta, that was used in cooperation with ENSO-E. More in general, with ENSO-E, we have carried out an intensive cooperation activity for data sharing in order to develop our master plan in tight connection with the ENSO-E TYNDP 10-year network development plan. Finally, this operation, in the area of operation that was new for the association, we have, through our cooperative approach, defined a number of KPIs, of key performance indicators, and we agreed on the publication of these indicators that give the flavor of the behavior of the power system. And in our perspective, a very important tool, a common web platform that will be available to everyone, that represent the first attempt to let Med-TSO become a data repository for all the Mediterranean information dealing with electricity. This platform that is going online in these days includes a grid map and a lot of statistical data on generation, demand, cross-border exchanges, the network consistency, etc., etc. This platform should be the basis for a future platform where real-time data on generation and demand should be exchanged together with forecasts and information on interconnection capacity and market prices. Finally, knowledge sharing. In our report, in our project, we have organized several opportunities to share knowledge and results among the members, despite the pandemic that, of course, impacted a lot our activity. We organized 6 workshops with more than 250 attendants, with at the end a quite good average evaluation from the attendees. The topics covered were various, from scenario buildings to HVDC technology, software used in the association, storage technologies and their impact in the grids, especially for facilitating the RES integration, and a couple of training courses carried out together with MedReg, one dealing on the investments for electricity infrastructure and another on the CBCA methodology, the cross-border cost allocation methodology. Summing up, 15 reports, 6 brochures, and 15 cluster assessments, all available on Med-TSO website. Reports that will be fully, you can navigate fully digital in this report for grabbing detailed information on our results, and the database and a web platform for statistical data and future exchange of operational data. This is the Mediterranean Project 2 at a glance. We have a couple of focus on 2 areas that we consider particularly relevant for the stakeholders. One, that's the definition of scenarios, and the other deals with the master plan of interconnection. So I give the floor for the first presentation to Emmanuel Bouet from RTE. Emmanuel is the chairman of Technical Committee Economic Studies and Scenarios, and he will make a presentation on scenarios. Emmanuel, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you, Angelo. If you can just leave the sharing mode in order for me to present my... Yes, thank you. Thank you. So I guess you are seeing the slide. So, His Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. My name is Emmanuel from RT, the French TSO, chairman of the working group Economic Studies and Scenario. I will present you at a glance the Med-TSO 2030 scenarios, a result of works performed in MP2 by the group. So the purpose of these scenarios is to explore possible future situations for the Mediterranean power system, and then to be the rationale of the master plan. For what concerns the current situation, the Mediterranean region is characterized by wide contrast, as yet expressed today. Contrast first in the evolution of electricity demand between countries which are experiencing regular growth of 4–5% per year and others which have shown stability and even a decrease over past 10 years. Contrast also in national energy and environmental policies and in the importance given to any regional regulation. Finally, contrast in the way of organizing electricity exchanges between countries from a fully integrated and efficient market to other configurations that give more priority to mutual assistance. Considering now as the next 10 years, this figure presents what we consider to be the drivers for the coming evolution. The size corresponding to the relative impact, the most important driver to affect the forecast are the GDP and population evolution, the development of renewable, the security of supply, and the energy efficiency. So the definition of the three scenarios is summarized in this table that focus on the most impacting drivers. The national development scenarios is based on positive but conservative option for the economic growth and based on moderate population growth. Development of renewable generation corresponds to commitments already made or already approved in national energy policies. The energy efficiency presents a limited development. The green development is a scenario that benefits from a good development of macroeconomic trends. Emphasis is placed on development of renewable and the renewal of prosumers. The efforts to improve energy efficiency are focused on residential and on industry sectors. The third scenario, the Mediterranean evolution scenarios, is based on a strong population growth, especially on the south and east, accompanied by dynamic development of industry and services. The ambitions for the development of renewable rely on regional cooperation and integration between countries. New uses of electricity are developing significantly, while at the same time efforts are made to improve energy efficiency. In addition, there is a set of common parameters and principles that may differ from the current situation, the most important being the market studies adopt the principle of efficient day-ahead market or mechanism. We adopt the principle of similar fossil fuel prices across all the countries, and we adopt also the principle of an economic value for the CO2 emissions common to all the Mediterranean countries. You can see here in this table the price and the economic value adopted for CO2. Then, before passing to the results, let's see how those scenarios consider all the other interconnected countries. Here in this table is mentioned the matching with the scenarios shared with our colleagues from ENSOE. I mean the TEASIMED 2020 scenarios for the European countries. So let's move now to the result. First is about the electricity consumption evolution for 2030. This map on the left shows the countries we consider when talking about the Mediterranean countries. At this perimeter, the electricity consumption evolution is dynamic, mainly driven by economic and demographic growth. From a demand around 2,000 terawatt-hours in 2018, we foresee for 2030 a demand around 2,500 terawatt-hours. That represents an increase in 12 years of 25% in the national development for the lowest to 33% in the Mediterranean evolution scenario for the highest. But this increase shows also contrast between the Mediterranean countries. To illustrate this effect, we group the country into 4 regions, as you can see on the map and in the table below. Then the bar graph illustrates a kind of stability in the demand for the northwest countries, when for the other regions see a strong increase, actually between 40 up to 80% in 12 years, depending on the region and on the scenario. Let's move now to the generation side. For the generation evolution, we foresee a significant increase that is driven by the challenge of security of supply and by decarbonization of the generation fleet. This graph illustrates for the fossil side, those generation, urge reduction in coal capacity, but also an apparent stability in gas generation. Sorry, actually, it's more a reduction of gas in Europe and an increase in the other countries. But the most remarkable is the development of solar and wind capacity. To see this more in detail, the graph on the right shows the evolution from 2018 to 2030 for the 3 scenarios. For wind generation, wind here is in green. For wind technology, the capacity is to be multiplied by almost 3. For solar, it's about 4 or 5 times. This graph on the left illustrates this urge increase in raise capacity affect all the region, taken opportunity of the local resources and urge potential. Let's see now how the generation capacity will meet the demand. Actually, the additional demand is fully satisfied by the increase in production from renewable sources, as you can see here. We can also note in this graph very urge reduction in coal generation. The share of, for the green development scenario, half of the consumption is covered by renewable generation in 2030. It was a bit more than 1/4 in 2018. The share of wind is close to 20% and 15% for solar generation. And consequently, those changes in the generation mix are a move toward a more carbon-free power system. As you can see in this table, the CO2 emitted from the electricity generation shows a 20% reduction in 12 years, despite the increase in the electricity demand. This reduction represents a decrease of 100 million tons CO2 emitted in 1 year. This second indicator in this table is the CO2 content of electricity. Unit is in gram of CO2 per kilowatt hour. From 300, we foresee a decrease below 200 in 12 years. You can find much more details, explanation, figures, and graph in the scenario report published on Med-TSO website. We are also launching a digital platform that will allow you to access all the data. Thank you.
Thank you, Emmanuel. And now I give the floor for some consideration on the Mediterranean Master Plan to Modesto Gabrieli from Terna, the Italian TSO, and also chairman of the Technical Committee Planning. Modesto, the floor is yours.
Good morning to everybody. Thank you, Angelo, for presenting the item. Today, I'm going to show you a presentation on the master plan. I will show you firstly the process, and then I will show you a very first outcome of the process. I don't know if it is visible, the presentation. Probably it is better in this way. Okay. Okay. First point, before to enter in the detail of the master plan, the main point that I want to share with you is the policy. The policy is the main framework that drive the planning exercise that at the association level we have carried out. In particular, the energy policy is changing a lot. Before my presentation, Emmanuel has shown the impact of the scenarios in terms of electricity demand at Mediterranean level. We know that electricity is the main driver for the decarbonization of the energy system, and the role of the electricity vector is growing a lot, because already now electricity is the main vector, the main green vector in European framework, but it is growing at the same level even in the North African countries and the Mediterranean level. And the role of the electricity as a vector for the decarbonization will grow even further in the future. We know that in the 2050 time horizon, the net zero emission is the first target of the policy, and that means that all the parties will move from an old way of working to a new way of working, and the key actions for the future is pushing from different point of view all the players. Not only the TSOs as a utility, but also the market participants. So that means that the new policy will put in the table more fund for the investment in the 10 years ahead, and this is an opportunity for all the TSOs in order to use the fund to build the new investment. So let me introduce the process of the planning exercise that we have built in the association. This is a long-term network development plan exercise, and this process is split in different phases. From the scenarios that have been shown by Emmanuel, to deeply analysis from different point of view. We first of all use a cost-benefit assessment, and this is the crucial point for the analysis of the benefit of all the projects. We use different tools, in particular the first is the market tool, as already introduced by Emmanuel and Angelo. We carry out market analysis And in particular, the kind of analysis reveals the benefit from economic point of view, because in the market simulation, the benefits, all the benefits are monetized. So it is possible to compare the benefits of the single project with comparison to their cost. So that means tangible and useful tool for the TSOs, for the players to compare the different projects from different point of view. We use the same scenarios in order to compare the benefits of the projects. That means that we construct different hour during the 2030 time horizon. So for all the year, we evaluate the impact of the generation with regard to the time series of the electricity demand. So this is the basis for the cost-benefit analysis, because in this way we can consider how the renewables will be integrated, how the losses will move, how the security supply will be managed, and how the overall system is managed in a safety condition. But it is not the only analysis that we have carried out. The second kind of analysis is the network study, is load flow analysis. This is a completely different approach. While in the market analysis we compare the scenarios and we use a very let me say, simplified approach for the representation of the network, which is analyzed as a single bar. So every country is a bus bar, but with all conditions during the year. So a lot of hours with less node. In the network study, we use a completely different approach. We use rather low number of hours to be analyzed, coming from the results of market studies, but with a deeply analysis in the network. So we consider every single asset, every single line, every single bus bar, every single generation unit. So it is a completely different approach, and in this way we can have a deep dive in a specific condition, while in the past the typical simulation was the summer peak or winter peak condition. In the current process, we use a very broad kind of hourly values of, for example, electricity demand to be analyzed, because the adequacy of the system does not is not linked to the high demand or low demand. The condition, the very critical condition in the network could be in other kind of hours. So we have different conditions that have been analyzed project by project in order to evaluate if the project could solve the criticality in the system, particular concern in a specific portion of the grid. And in this way, we can have a direct valuation of the capacity of the new project to solve the problems in the near future. How we can do that? We make a static security simulation in n-1 or n-2 condition. That means that the network is analyzed not only in a safety conditions with all the line in operation, but with specific criteria that consider one by one element or two elements put out the services, and we run the simulation with this condition in order to evaluate if there is an overload in a line or a violation of the voltage level in a specific node. This is particularly important because requires many simulation, and the final work after network studies and market studies is to clustering the different projects with specific methodology showing the most relevant needs in the Mediterranean level. So how we have treated the clustering of the project. Mainly we have three kind of categories that are linked to market, operation, and dispatching, adequacy, and security supply. And there are many kind of investment needs. Every project of the new plan could be relevant for one or more of these investment needs. So the more are the investment needs that the project could solve, the better is the project. So how much projects we have analyzed? Finally, we picked up 15 projects, and in the slide you can see the spread of the projects, a few numbers, just to appreciate the overall plan. More than 4,100 kilometers of new HVDC links. We have around 7 new HVDC links. HVDC technology will be the game changer in the Mediterranean framework, because in the Mediterranean level, it is important to link new countries that currently are not directly linked from the south to the north, but even from the west to the east. And in particular, we have analyzed corridor by corridor, evaluating specifically each single project. I will show very briefly the different corridor. There is the West Mediterranean corridor that contains the Morocco-Portugal, Morocco-Spain, and Algeria-Spain interconnections.
Modesto, you are at 13 minutes already.
Okay,
so
okay.
That we have
very quickly. And the Central Mediterranean corridor and North African backbone contains mainly interconnection with Italy and between Algeria, Tunisia, and Libya. There is even at the east part a lot of new projects, mainly due to the need of new capacity from the south, from the Egypt to Turkey through the sea, but even through the Syria and Turkey, but even in the southeast, Bulgaria, Greece, and Turkey needs new projects. Just a final consideration on the investments. We have more than 12 billion of investment needs, of investment costs, and more than 5,800 kilometers of interconnection length. So this is just a few details, but in the coming days, the new plan will be available in the website of Med-TSO in order to be read. And so this is my last slide. Thank you.
Thank you, Modesto. And now I know we are really running out of time. I will give, therefore, just a flavor of what will be the next project, TEASIMED, that will engage the association for the next 28 months. Just a flavor, as I said, because the story, the lesson learned from the Mediterranean Project 1 and 2 is that multilateral cooperation in the Mediterranean region is possible, that we can develop consistent tools for developing the investments at regional level, and that achieving a single electricity market among the two shores of the Mediterranean is possible, but it is a long way. And what we have to pursue at this stage is at least to have significant improvements in the process of integrating the national power systems. So the objective, the idea that suggested us to launch a new project was to refocus mainly the outcomes of the association from guidelines, rules, and methodologies to pilot projects and cooperation in operation. On this basis, we have launched this new project that has got the grant from the European Commission, from DG NEAR, for the next 28 months. TEASIMED it means towards an efficient, adequate, sustainable, and interconnected Mediterranean power system. It will be structured into 4 working streams. The first one is the update of the Mediterranean MASTERPLAN, that is the High Voltage Transmission Network Development Plan, developing it closer and closer in connection with the ENTSO-E TY-NDP. The second working stream, is the consolidation of the common target regulatory framework to let it become a real Mediterranean grid code. The third working stream is the identification and put into operation of pilot projects on selected interconnected electricity exchange zones, optimizing the calculation of the interconnection capacities and applying joint operational procedure. The fourth working stream is the development of a knowledge sharing program, also through the development of a digital web platform for the members. I would like to spend very few comments on 2 of these streams. The first one, pilot projects. Already in the Mediterranean Project 2, we identified a possible pilot zone in the Maghreb area. The idea of launching pilot projects is because we are convinced that it doesn't exist in the Mediterranean a one-stop shop solution that fits all the needs of the different countries. So the idea is to identify areas where the integration process can run faster. So the first that we would like, we will try to implement in the TEASIMED project is the Maghreb area, where we should start the preparation of coordinated national network development plans, start implementing a coherent and harmonized set of technical rules for managing the existing interconnections, and promote the effective operation of the interconnected power systems. In this project, we will try also to identify the guidelines for launching another pilot project in the Eastern Mediterranean. But let's say the identification will be part of our duties in this project. We are not sure we can do anything more at this stage for the next 2 years. The identification of pilot projects links very well to the need that we have to support as much as possible all the initiatives acting in the Mediterranean for getting also the institutional support to our initiative. In fact, as it was mentioned, there are several technical and non-technical barriers, and many of these barriers, especially the non-technical one, require a tight cooperation with the main stakeholders. That's why we would like to support the Union for the Mediterranean in this project for developing some of its initiatives in the frame of the energy platform. In particular, trying to extend the EU Green Deal concept to the Mediterranean region, trying to analyze for the first time in the Mediterranean the perspectives of sector coupling and the possible implementation of power to gas technologies, and developing also concept and methodologies for launching Mediterranean PCIs, projects of common interest, with the idea, with the perspective of facilitating investments in infrastructure.